So UFC 306 takes place at the Sphere in Las Vegas on the 14th of September. And as of right now, it doesn't have any matchups made on the card. So I thought I'd just do a little main card builder to see if I can make any fun matchups for it. The 16th of September this year is also Mexican Independence Day. And I know whenever there's a card close to that, the UFC like to do something for it and put some Mexican talent on there. So yeah, I'm expecting to see a lot of Mexicans on this card. So we're going to go straight into the main event. I was kind of torn between two for this. I feel like the idea amongst MMA fans for a while has been that it's going to be O'Malley versus Merab. It could be, but now I'm leaning more towards Ilia Topuria versus Max Holloway. Max Holloway obviously coming off that massive KO with Justin Gaethje at UFC 300. His hype's as high as it ever has been. Ilia Topuria's hype's as high as it ever has been. So it makes sense to make this matchup sooner rather than later. I think that UFC 307 is going to be at the start of October, so that could potentially be headlined by O'Malley and Merab if they don't fight at UFC 306, or they could be the co-main at UFC 308, but I'm expecting Islam to be the main event at UFC 308, so they'd have to be co-main for that. But that being said, I do feel like the UFC want O'Malley in main events, so we'll just have to see what they go with. But to get back onto Topuria versus Holloway, that fight is fucking huge. Probably the biggest fight you can make in the promotion right now. I don't give a shit that Max Holloway's last win was at 155. You could give him a shot at fucking John Jones for all I care after that win. It was insane. It was like nothing I've ever watched before. But you got to remember before that as well, he did beat Arnold Allen and the Korean Zombie at 145. So yeah, give him the title shot. It's not even in question. And yeah, huge fight. Also, the thing with having Ilia Topuria versus Max Holloway over O'Malley versus Merab is it's a guaranteed KO, I think it should be. And no matter who wins, it's going to be hype. With O'Malley versus Merab, if Merab were to stall him against the cage for 25 minutes and have a complete snooze fest, then everyone would be like, what a letdown, shit main event. It's a guaranteed banger if you put Topuria versus Holloway in the main event. So moving on to the co-main, this one's pretty set in stone for me. You do the Alexa Grasso versus Valentina Shevchenko trilogy. Coming off a draw, what else can you do really? It will bring Mexican eyes to it around Mexican Independence Day. And yeah, I'm going with the trilogy there. When the two of them last fought, it was a big mixed bag of opinions on whether round 5 was a 10-8 for Grasso or not. But I think the right thing to do here is to run it back and see. So yeah, that's the co-main for the card. Now, moving on to the next fight on the main card. This one's really difficult because I want Yair Rodriguez to be involved in this fight. But everyone's booked. Brian Ortega's fighting Diego Lopez. Arnold Allen's fighting Giga Chikadze. Now, I was going to suggest the winner of Allen versus Chikadze make a quick turnaround and fight the Sphere. But we don't know how ready they're going to be. We don't know how much damage they're going to take. For all we know, that could be an all-out war. They could go all 3 rounds. They might not want to turn around so quickly. So we can't be sure. If the winner of that does come out relatively unscathed and doesn't mind a quick turnaround, then maybe throw Allen or Chikadze in there against Yair Rodriguez. Now, if the UFC really want Yair Rodriguez on this card, which they might do, they might not be that bothered, but if they do, may I suggest main card bout, Yair Rodriguez versus Lerone Murphy, which is not that stupid to suggest. Lerone Murphy's ranked 11, just went 5 rounds and beat Barboza very convincingly. Benoit jumped up the rankings and fought Dustin Poirier. How's this any different, I think it's a really fun fight. I think people will be in agreement with the matchup. And I think it's a good fight to make on the main card of UFC 306. Now, you might say, well, Yair fought for a title not long ago. He's not going to want to jump that far down the rankings to number 11. Who else is he going to fight? Who else is he going to fight? He will want to fight at the Sphere. He will want to fight on that card. So if the UFC chuck the name Lerone Murphy at him, what else can he do? I mean, he can say no, but I think the wise thing to do for Yair will be say yes here and fight Lerone Murphy. 3-round fight is winnable, but it'll be a fun fight. So to move on to the next fight on the main card, I was going to match Brandon Moreno with somebody, but I think he should fight the winner of Makayev versus Cap, and it should be a 5-round main event. Just like the winner of Allen versus Chikadze, the winner of Makayev versus Cat might not be ready when we need him in the Sphere. So, I think I might leave Brandon Moreno out and then match him up in a main event sometime around, I don't know, maybe November against Makayev or Cap. So I'm not going to involve Moreno, but I am going to involve Charles Oliveira, and I'm going to match him up with Mateusz Gamrot. I want to see Charles Oliveira active. I think an active Charles Oliveira is a good Charles Oliveira. Mateusz Gamrot is a winnable matchup. And I want to see him back in there. I want him to get back to winning ways. He's got a lot of fans. He's exciting. This would be a really good addition to the main card. I think Gamrot would be happy with that matchup as well, to be honest. I think if the UFC rang him and said, Charles Oliveira, 3 rounds, I think he'd take it instantly. I think if he were able to beat Charles Oliveira, it'd be a massive name on his resume. He's already got that previous win, if you remember, against Arman Tsarukyan, who's going to fight for the title next probably as well. So, if he won, it'd probably push him to a title shot. So, I think Gamrot would take that as well. Now, for the last fight I'm going to add to the main card, I'm going to put Henry Cejudo in against Jose Aldo. Now, I think Song Yadong's going to be on UFC 305 in Australia, and his opponent's still unknown, so it could be Cejudo. But I think the UFC should put Cejudo on 306 instead and have Song Yadong have... I've already previously mentioned this, but I think Song Yadong should fight Kaya Sakura. But anyway, Cejudo versus Aldo, 2 old guys. Obviously, Aldo just recently made his return, beat Jonathan Martinez. But I think this is the fight to make in Mexico, definitely. Now, obviously, they're both past their prime, but this fight would have been a super fight when they were both in their prime. So I think it will have a lot of eyes on it for that reason. I don't know how well Henry Cejudo will be received in Mexico. I don't think they like him over there. But still chuck him on the card against Jose Aldo. Good matchup to make. If Aldo can win, then it's very interesting to see who he'd fight after that. Maybe a second title run for Jose Aldo, who knows? He did look good against Martinez, so anything can happen, and that's the final fight I put on the main card. I was half tempted to give Raul Rosas Jr. a little main card bump up, but I don't think he's quite ready for that. But I'd still put him on the card. Not sure who against, but have Raul Rosas Jr. on there, have Irene Aldana on there. And there's so many fun fights you can make on this card. Dana says it's going to be a huge one. He's already put something daft like $17 million into it, and we're only in June. So, this card's going to be huge. There's a lot of fun matchups you can make. The bout order I've been through today, I don't know if I'd necessarily have them in that bout order. You could switch it around a bit, but it doesn't matter. I think they're all good fights. You might disagree, but it's down to you. I think they're all decent, but I'm expecting a very good card.